So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. Happy Easter Sunday 2023. Let's begin this speed test 13 Pro Max S23 Ultra with a boot up test in 3, 2, go, and see which one can get there first. Now, in this speed test, we will be taking a look at Apple's prior flagship 13 Pro Max with Apple A15 Bionic chipset coupled with 6 GB of RAM versus Samsung's beastly S23 Ultra, 12 GB of RAM. And the iPhone says, sit down, big boy. I'm going to go first to my home screen. But some people are going to say, look, bro, Nick, I don't care about no boot up. I don't boot up my phone for every year, maybe. Well, there is features in the Samsung phone where you could actually boot it up, automatically restart overnight. But it is recommended to boot up once in a while because it does refresh the memory and stuff like that, can make your phone run a little bit better. But the Samsung does lose when it comes to the boot up test. We are looking at a Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 coupled with 12 GB of RAM. So when it comes to the biometrics or unlocking the phones, Apple does have the Face Unlock with Face ID. It's pretty good. I don't have Raise to Wake on. Well, actually I do. So definitely very quick, looks at you, opens up very simply. No Touch ID though. Samsung does employ in-display fingerprint sensor, which some people find a little more modern. Some people think it's worse. I personally like it. Plus you have a Face Unlock on here. Not quite as secure, but in One UI they do have a feature where it will require your eyes to be open. So I guess it boosts it a little bit, but it's nothing like Face ID when it comes to security. So pretty much unlocking the phone's quite similar there. Now, generally speaking, in terms of smooth feel, because the iPhone 13 Pro Max did retain a 120Hz ProMotion panel, we do have ourselves a very smooth experience, even though this phone is not brand new no more. That is something that they put in there that can help the phone go the distance, feel smooth long term. The Galaxy S22 Ultra also had, which was closer in comparison to that, also had the 120Hz. But what Samsung did here with the S23 Ultra was they improved the performance on top of already having the motion smoothness on there, the 120Hz. So now we have combined One UI 5.1, Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, the smoothest Samsung experience you're ever going to feel on a smartphone today. In terms of if you want to use the Samsung experience, it's probably a little snappier, honestly, than what you see on the iPhone. However, the iPhone is still buttery smooth with its iOS, optimizations top to down, as well as that 120Hz ProMotion. So both of them very good in unlocking and general OS speed. All right, so the reason I'm making a speed test is because I want to see if it's enough performance over iPhone 13 Pro Max to warrant an upgrade. We're going to find out here in the app test. Everything closed out on both. Let's begin with calendar. You could see a little faster there for the S23 Ultra. Calculator, you could see pretty close. I think that might have been the iPhone. I could have missed that. Go ahead and tell me down below. What about the clock? That animation looks to go to the Samsung. Now keep in mind too, the Samsung is on stock animations. If you do go ahead, is Samsung again. If you do go ahead and go to the, the developer options, you can go ahead and make the Galaxy even faster with a 0.5. You could see faster to load up the applications portion there. And you could see, look at that animation when they go back. Super smooth on both. Let's go into Instagram. You could see Instagram first there on the Samsung. We'll go ahead and go into there. Go ahead and take a look at this moonshot. Pretty much identical once actually in the application. So not a big difference when you're actually in there. The Samsung's animations still look a little faster. We're still dealing with Android versus iOS. When scrolling through, you are going to find yourself having probably a smoother scroll on the iPhone, still that snappy fast scroll, but also with some smoothness with that 120Hz on both panels. We're going to go over here to Twitter, and you can see Samsung faster. Android typically wins in Twitter, and it wins once again. No major issues. By the way, I think Apple did fix this bug with the latest 16.4.1 update. We'll go into Groupon here. And you'll see Groupon first there on the right. Category is there on the right. So yeah, I'm seeing the Samsung snappier in pretty much every app so far. Let's go into Amazon, see what we got here. And yeah, Amazon first there on the right. We'll click this trimmer kit. And pretty similar. And now these are barely different. So the Samsung just barely But overall, when we start adding up all the applications, you start flying through apps day to day, Samsung does feel a little snappier. You can see iPhone there first. Said, shut up, Nick. What are you talking about, snappy? I just opened that up quicker. Yeah, but this is the first one. So let's see how it does in the rest of them. We'll go into eBay, and you could see eBay faster on the right. And I really have no fanfare towards either one, like being like liking one more than the other, because personally, I love both of these phones. Let's go into Dead Trigger 2. I do think that Samsung does have superior hardware in terms of, just being a little bit more modern. This notch just doesn't compare to the punch hole, but Apple did win that one out on Dead Trigger to open that up. Did you see that? And it looks like they're going to open that game faster. However, keep in mind, both of them can game and rock out very simply and fast on both. We'll go into Asphalt 9, but I have to give credit where credit's due. The iPhone still seems to load up these games a little faster than these Android devices. But that doesn't mean that it can sustain that performance better, because I do believe that Samsung can sustain performance a little bit longer, as once it heats up a little, the Apple phone does, dim the screen, can throttle sometimes, but you really got to be pushing it. We'll go into Subway Surfers. Some people are going to say, I don't know what this guy is talking about. I don't have that issue. Well, it's because you're not pushing it to that level. I'm just saying if you're pushing it to that level. Let's go ahead and tap play. See, once we get in these basic games, it's a wash. It's pretty much a wash here. We'll go into Temple Run 2. But here's the thing. If you want to try out S23 Ultra and you have the iPhone 13 Pro Max and you're worried, I'm not going to that phone. It's not going to be as smooth as fast as my iPhone. Well, that's what this video is for, to show you. Yes, it will. I think that's a different, different update on Temple Run, whatever. Well, let's go into Geekbench 6. You can see faster on the left. We'll go over here to 3D Mark, and 3D Mark faster on the left, it looked like on that one. So they traded a few applications here and there, but I think overall, generally, the Samsung did load up more faster. Animations look quicker. However, the iPhone still has that really smooth and polished look to the animation. So both of them pretty darn close here. I think Samsung has a slight edge, but Apple's still a little bit in the gaming, but sustained performance on the Samsung, it's pretty darn close. So if you do want the upgraded zoom, the bigger screen, the S Pen, and you have a 13 Pro Max, I think you're going to be quite happy with the performance if you make that switch. However, you want to stick with the iPhone and hold out, you're going to be just happy there as well. Now, here we go. RAM management. We're going to see which one can actually open these up better. Well, they're probably going to do about the same. Here's what I like about the iPhone though. When it is going through applications, even when you're coming back out, it's buttery smooth, no issues really at all. Now this has 6 gigs of RAM, so if you are opening 45,000 apps at once, which you'll probably never do, humans can't really multitask, even though we try to, that would like overstimulate our brains. You're probably never going to open that many applications, like 40 apps at once. So you're never going to see really any reload issues there. Now, the Samsung phone being double powered with that 12 gigabytes of RAM, some people will argue it's needed on an Android phone. I think that this phone takes better advantage of that by giving you actual multitasking features like DeX that really push this phone into a different category. But you've seen Samsung's not playing games no more with those RAM. Ooh, little bump action. They're not playing games no more with the, with the RAM management. We've had some videos, some speed tests on this channel in the past where Samsung was a little bit suspect over there, but not anymore. That is pretty darn nice. You've seen that performance, just boom, 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 just loads up. It is good to go. And here are our final Geekbench scores, and you can see that the iPhone 13 Pro Max, 2289, 5577. Now over here on the Samsung, you've seen it was still finishing up, so clearly not going to win it out here, but it loses in both of these. So that's actually pretty impressive for the iPhone 13 Pro Max being the age it is. Now this is on 16.4. I'm aware 16.4.1 is out. I already had this video prepped before we do that update, so it is what it is, but it's not going to change that much in a, update to 16.4.1. But I'm not just going to leave Samsung there. We're going to go ahead and do a Wildlife Extreme test here on both of these phones just to see what they do in this area. So I'll be back when they are in with their final results here. This is going to test more of the graphical performance, frames per second, and stuff like that. I'll be back. And even though you've seen me start that 3D Mark later than I did on the iPhone, look, it finished first. So Samsung with the victory in this benchmark. So they're going to trade blows and victories in terms of benchmarks. But you can see the iPhone did a overall score of 2783 on the 13 Pro Max. That is a 16.7 frames a second. And its variable frame, or its frame rate, was going between 10 and 23. Now this phone scores better than 35% of 13 Pro Max, and it does better than 72% of other devices. Now, the Galaxy S23 Ultra with the victory at 3788 maintains a higher frames per second, and if you put this in performance mode, you're likely gonna have better gaming performance, better frames per second, stuff like that. You see this score is better than 72% of Galaxy S23 Ultra, and it does better than 89% of all devices. So yeah, the S23 Ultra is a boost in performance, regardless if Geekbench doesn't want to give it the win. You'll see right there, it also didn't lose any battery life during that. So also it's a beast in battery life. Overall, the S23 Ultra has won that one out. Now, at the end of the day, which one is the better performer? I gotta say, I think it's the S23 Ultra, honestly. The iPhone 13 Pro Max is no slouch. It is a beast of a phone, and if you bought it when it came out, or you just plan on picking up one now, you can count on this phone for years to come of software support, very fast performance with the A15 Bionic, but it just doesn't match the S23 Ultra, which I've been waiting for the iPhone 15 Pro Max or 15 Ultra to come give the smoke to the Galaxy S23 Ultra, or if it will, or even if it'll do that. We'll have to see what happens later this year. So you might want to be subscribed. So make sure you do that. Thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, and let me know which one you would pick out of these two. Would you actually upgrade the 13 Pro Max to the S23 Ultra? Or would you be like, no way, not going to Samsung, stop it already, Nick, I don't care. I do these for fun. I really enjoy seeing how these titans go toe to toe. Catch you on the next one. Nick here. Have a great Easter Sunday, and peace.